Hey everyone, so this is my luxury brand Under Fire for Cultural Appropriation discussion board. So, appropriation versus appreciation. I did a slide on this because I wanted to identify what they were. So, a cultural appropriation refers to the copying of style from one culture without permission or use of or understanding of the fashion itself. It causes more harm than good because it usually is disrespectful to other cultures, reinforces stereotypes, and offends the culture's original style. It can include borrowing or copying symbols, clothing, or practices/traditions of such culture. So examples like tattoos of religious symbols, Mexican sombreros, and non-black people adopting black hairstyles like dreadlocks or cornrows. And then culture appreciation refers to the understanding and respect and admiration for style within one's culture. So before wanting to include certain patterns or traditions into something, one will take the time to learn about the culture and make sure they honor it. These pieces usually have cultural significance and history. This way, it promotes the culture instead of bringing up old stereotypes, and promotes engagement between other cultures, like mixing them together. So, with this being said, should designers be free to use patterns and designs from other cultures without reference to origin? No. If a designer is wanting to appreciate the culture, then they need to do it in the right way. And that is learning the history, knowing the origin, knowing the importance and the significance of the culture's traditions, knowing the significance of the patterns and styles. It is also not just about the research, it's the designer needs to make sure his or her presentation is also respectful to the culture, meaning finding the right models to show off their clothing or style, and making sure the runway is a tribute to their culture, not just a white backdrop that you would see normally. So my first example is Victoria's Secret. So Victoria's Secret has been charged with culture appropriation multiple times. So the ones that I'm going to cover here is 2010. There was a collection called Wild Things, and the models wore animal print lingerie surrounding men in printed sarongs, and all models were painted with black shapes, lines, and they were meant to resemble the body of indigenous people. So you can see that picture off to the right here. And then in 2012, there was this collection, and during the show, there was a part where each model dressed to represent each month and the holiday celebrated in each month. And the model Carly Kloss dressed for November, and she walked the runway wearing feather headdress, suede fringe, turquoise jewelry, and leopard print accents. And this was meant to represent Thanksgiving and indigenous people, but it just further amplified the genocide of the indigenous people and the stereotypes following them. So then in 2014, there was another collection called Exotic Traveler, and the models were dressed again in feather wings and brightly colored bras, emulating tribal designs. And the problem was that the models did not match the culture of the clothing, so they were not of the ethnicity, race, and culture, like all that stuff. So then in 2016, there was another collection called Road Ahead, and Victoria's Secret used Chinese-inspired designs, cascading capes, high-neck crop tops, obi belts, and thigh-high boots. And not only are these clothes skimpy and lingerie and just overall disrespectful to Chinese heritage, but the models were not of Chinese descent, and this was very important. In the 2016 collection that you can see down here on the right was probably the most controversial cultural appropriation that Victoria's Secret has done. So then my second example is the Gucci lip mask, but it's not a mask, it's a turtleneck. I misread that. But in 2018 runway, Gucci produced a black turtleneck sweater that featured a mouth cut out with the red slits to look like lips. The piece received countless backlash from their audience because it resembled blackface characteristics. Then Gucci responded and removed the sweater from its website. The brand then responded with an apology, saying that they will not make this mistake again, and furthermore hired a global director from diversity and inclusion. They also hired some other designers, but I do know that soon after this, they ended up having another cultural appropriation scandal. So then for my deep dive, I did the Dior Chinese skirt. So the Dior culture appropriation, like the whole like part of this in Dior Fall's collection in 2022, Dior created a skirt for a price of $3,800 and was inspired by centuries of Chinese traditional garment. The skirt was pleated wool and was called the mohair skirt, and the accusations of cultural appropriation began when Chinese citizens and media began accusing the brand of failure to acknowledge the inspiration behind the skirts and designs. So for the origin of the skirt, in Chinese culture, this skirt is called a horse face skirt and dates back all the way to the Song dynasty over 1,000 years ago. The design of the skirt features pleat sides and openings at the front and the back, making it skirt more suitable for horseback riding. So the skirts were often worn by members of China's Hanfu subculture. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. But yeah, so they still refused to admit that the skirt was anything to copy the design. They were just inspired by it, and that's what they're going with now. And then this is my works cited.